so great. I want to start by thanking everyone for being here on a lovely day, the first campaign stop of the election. Isn't it exciting? Yeah. Exciting! Exciting! I want to thank Suze Morrison first and foremost. Begum, Chris Glover, Dwayne Morgan, Marit Stiles, Tom Rakosovic, Faisal Hassan. What a great team! What a great team! I also want to thank the Regent Park Community Health Centre for allowing us to spend some time in their fantastic facility, as well as other people who have worked so hard to ensure that the issues of access to decent health care, to quality health care, are front and center, not only during election time, but all the way around the calendar. And that includes people like the Association of Ontario Health Centres, the Ontario Health Coalition, Health Providers Against Poverty. You folks do amazing work all the time, and I'm really proud to be able to spend some time with you to talk about health care on the first day of the campaign. And so what we know is that our healthcare system is not where it should be. It is not providing the quality of service that people deserve. Folks are lined up in hospital hallways, on gurneys for days on end, not getting the dignity that they deserve, not getting the privacy that they deserve, not even having a call bell for a nurse or proper washroom facilities. This is a hospital system that is not working for everyday people, and it needs to change. We know that not only are our ERs clogged, but we have seniors care that is inadequate. Our long-term care homes are not meeting people's needs. We know that folks are not getting the prescription drugs that they should be getting. People are going to the doctor, leaving with a prescription in their pocket or in their purse, and not being able to fill that prescription because they can't afford it. Nobody should be going without their prescription drugs in our province, regardless of how old you are, where you work, how much money you earn. Everybody should get the prescription drugs that they're prescribed. And on top of that, everyone should be able to get quality dental care in our province. You know that every 3 minutes, someone is attending either an emergency room or a doctor's office to try to get pain in their mouth dealt with. That's not acceptable. The only reason people go to a hospital or a doctor's office is because they know they don't have to pull out a checkbook or a credit card or their phone to pay for those services. We need a dental care system in our province that allows every worker to have a dental plan at work, and every person who's on social assistance or who's retired having an opportunity to get their dental care with their OHIP card. That's a change for the better, don't you think? That's a change for the better. So I want to thank Ann Piper for being here again with us. Ann has got a particular story about her own mother who spent a couple of days in the hallway of a hospital. The thing that makes this so difficult for Ann and her family is that Ann spent her whole career taking care of other people. Ann is a nurse, and she spent her whole career, her whole life, taking care of people. And then when it came to her own mother needing hospital care, Ann was horrified to watch as days went by and her mother was stuck in a hallway of a hospital without getting the proper care, dignity, and privacy that she deserved. So I want to thank you, Ann, once again for being here and being willing to share the experience that you had with your mom in the hospital. I mean, the reality is too many people are facing the same thing as Ann's mom has faced. We see it in hospitals across the province, and it's directly because of the choices that Kathleen Wynne and the Liberals have made during their time in office. Kathleen Wynne chose to cut our hospitals. She chose to leave us with hallway medicine. She chose to make the kind of cuts that have left us in a situation that we can't care for the people that need care in hospitals. And we've got to a long-term care system that is in crisis. Again, Kathleen Wynne and the Liberals have made those choices. After 15 years, if Kathleen Wynne and the Liberals wanted to make a difference in the healthcare system, they would have done so already. If they really wanted to deal with the lack of dental care that Ontarians have, they would have been able to do so already. So we know that Kathleen Wynne and the Liberals are not the option in this campaign. We know that that they've already disappointed the people of Ontario very much so, and people are wanting change for the better this time. They want a future where people can get the health care that they need. But the question then is, what about Doug Ford? What about Doug Ford? Doug Ford says that he is going to leave no stone unturned in his hunt to privatize our public services. I'd like to know what exactly in the healthcare system Doug Ford is planning to privatize. You know, he says he's going to make at least $6 billion worth of cuts. I'd say that we're suffering from cuts already. His cuts will go deeper, they will hurt more, and they will not help families get the kind of health care that they deserve. Cuts and privatization are not the answer for Ontario. But I can tell you what the answer is. The answer is voting for a party and a premier who's prepared to put people at the heart of every single decision that she makes, and that includes improvements to our healthcare system. We are going to make sure that hospitals are funded appropriately, and that means about $1.2 billion immediately of infusion into our hospital system, $19 billion of capital expansion in our hospitals. We are going to fix the crisis in seniors' care. We're going to make sure everyone can get their prescription drugs filled, and we're going to make sure that every single Ontarian has access to dental care. This is change for the better. That's what change for the better looks like. With Doug Ford, we'll see more people in hospital hallways. We'll see more seniors in crisis in long-term care. We'll see more young people without an opportunity for a good future and an ability to build a good life in our province. That's not what Ontario needs. What Ontario needs is hope for the future, and that's what New Democrats are offering. I am very, very proud to be here with all of you to talk on the first day of our campaign about change for the better in our healthcare system. And I want to say this. We are also, we're here in a community health centre. We know that the services that are provided here are vast. One of the other pieces that we're quite concerned about is our mental health care system. So we have a plan to add 2,600 new mental health workers into the system as well. As well as putting in place a separate ministry for mental health and addictions, because we know that those issues are not dealt with appropriately. They keep falling to the back burner. We need to put a real focus on mental health, a real focus on addiction services, and we're going to do that with an independent, standalone ministry. Very excited about that plan. A last piece is this. People say, that's all great, but how are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? We have a plan that asks the most wealthy amongst us, that asks the most wealthy corporations, the richest people and the richest companies to chip in a little bit more, to pay a little bit more to help us achieve those goals. Now, I believe that that's the only way that we're going to move our province forward, that we're going to address the challenges that Kathleen Wynne and the Liberals have left us with, and that are going to protect us from the cuts and the privatization that Doug Ford is suggesting. This, my friends, this is change for the better. This is hope for the future of Ontario, and as the person that's running to be the Premier of this province, I am so excited on the first day of the campaign to be able to share it all with you right here at the Regent Park Community Health Centre. It doesn't have to be a choice between bad and worse. You don't have to keep bouncing back and forth between Liberals and Conservatives. This campaign, you absolutely can choose change for the better. That's what we're offering, and I look forward to spending the next 29 days, 9 days. What is it? 28 days? We're on E-29, right? 28 days after today to work with all of you wonderful candidates, everyone who's interested in making change for the better, to actually come to June 7th when we can chart a path for the future of our province that's built on hope and that's built on making sure we can build a better life for every family that calls Ontario home. Thank you very much. So I'll take any questions you might have.
This is your first campaign event. You're focusing on healthcare. Do you think this is going to be the most important thing people think about as they cast their ballots on June the 7th?
Well, thanks for the question, Carmen. I have to say that everywhere I go in Ontario, people are worried about the state of our healthcare system, and it's the hospitals that are crowded with stretchers in hallways, where there's lack of dignity, where there's lack of privacy, but it's also concern about our most vulnerable seniors who are in a long-term care system that is in crisis and needs a massive overhaul. It's also people who look. I mean, we have an economy that's changing rapidly. We have young people that are working 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. People who are working contract, who are working casual jobs, who are entrepreneurs, which is a good thing, entrepreneurship. But the reality is folks in those kinds of jobs and those kinds of employment situations don't have medical benefits. They don't have dental plans. And so with the changing economy, we want to make sure that young people are able to take care of their health and wellness. So that's another big piece of our plan to bring better health care to our province. Yes, I do believe that health care is a major issue for folks. I hear it everywhere that I go, and New Democrats have the solutions that will make Ontario a healthier place and will give people a chance to be able to stay well and take the pressure off our hospitals and, as I said, build a good life for themselves and their families.
Your new ad is quite different than your first dodgeball ad. Why the change in tone?
Well, you know what, our dodgeball ad was a bit cheeky, I think, and on purpose. I mean, there's no doubt that this is a serious campaign, and the decisions facing Ontarians are very serious. But at the same time, I think people need to kind of get a sense that there are solutions. It's not just about how badly Kathleen Wynne and the Liberals have done, how disappointed people are with Kathleen Wynne, and how much worry we have, and rightfully so, about what's up Doug Ford's sleeve that he's not being straight up about. I mean, he's not being honest about those cuts. He's not being, straight up with folks about what his privatization plan is. So our ad that we unveiled today speaks to the fact that it doesn't have to be this way. It does not have to be this way. We can have a province where there's hope for the future, where we can deliver health care that everyone needs, where we can make sure that people have their prescription drugs and dental care, where we have an ability for young people to graduate university and college without a mountain of debt and without having to pay the province all kinds of interest as they search for opportunities for the future. We think that we can help with those opportunities by providing 27,000 new placements for co-op students, for apprentices, for other job placements. The point of the second ad is, yes, we've had a rough go with 2 decades or more of Liberals and Conservatives, but you can do something completely different this time. We have a plan for the future that's not just a dream, it's actually a plan that we know we can implement for Ontarians.
Andrea, can you squeeze corporations enough to be able to fund some of the promises that you're making here without significant pushback from the business community, do you think?
You know, it's interesting. I've actually unveiled our platform to the Ontario Chamber of Commerce recently, and what I said to those folks is this. I know that it's tough to operate a business, and I know that businesses don't like surprises. They don't like shocks. They don't like surprises. And what I've committed to the business community is that they will know in advance before we we spring anything on them. And so my plan, my fiscal plan that's attached to our platform, lays out changes in the corporate tax rate that come in year 2 and year 3, so that the business community is able to adjust and prepare for those changes. It is about having a respectful relationship. We're not going to agree on everything. I don't think any business is going to want to see an increase in the corporate tax rate, but we will be protecting small business. We're protecting everyday families. We're protecting the middle class and low-income folks. And yes, we are asking the wealthiest corporations and the richest people amongst us to help us implement our plan by chipping in a little bit more.
Andrea, a couple of polls are putting you right now in a solid second, a certain distance from Doug Ford and the Conservatives, but way ahead of the Liberals. What do you make of that? First day, but still a solid second. So what do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I think people are looking for change this election, and that means, by definition, that Kathleen Wynne and the Liberals are not going to be forming government come June 7th. But people have an important choice to make, and what we're here to say is that you don't have to go from bad to worse, that you can actually have a government that puts the people at the heart of every decision they make. It's not about privatization. It's not about cutting our most valued services, as Mr. Ford would bring. It's about providing the building blocks that people need to build a good life in our province, and that's what we have to offer. You know, I don't think this campaign should only be about who would make the worst premier, Kathleen Wynne or Doug Ford. I think people can choose a premier that brings hope back to our province, and it's 2018. We should have dental care. We should have prescription drug coverage. We should be able to rely on our hospitals. Our young people should be able to feel that they have hope for the future. That's what our campaign is going to be focused on. And I look forward to showing more and more as we go through this campaign, the people of Ontario, that they do have a real choice this time. We don't have to do what we've done for so many elections over the years. We can actually do something completely different this time and have an NDP government in place that takes care of the needs of people.
Just to follow up on that point, Doug Ford last night at his campaign launch appealed to his supporters to help him deliver a strong, stable majority government. Do you think that's a telling sign that maybe he is a bit concerned that his lead is not as stable as he thought it was?
Oh, I thought of a funny joke, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Yeah, well, you're going to have to ask Doug Ford what the meaning is behind his message. I think what Doug Ford's message needs to be is a lot more clear about what his intentions are, and I think that's the risk in this campaign. Mr. Ford, for some reason, does not have the guts to be upfront about what his plans are. You know, other Conservative leaders have done that. We knew what was in store with Mr. Hudak. He was pretty upfront about it. Mr. Horwath was very upfront about his plans for Ontario when he was running for government. For some reason, Mr. Ford doesn't want to tell people what he's going to privatize. He doesn't want to tell people what he is going to cut. And he's pretending that his tax cuts for lowest income families are going to be beneficial, when we know that, in fact, the increase in the minimum wage is going to put much more money in people's pockets than Mr. Ford's ripoff. This is what I think this campaign is going to be about, is making sure that people have a chance to understand what the various parties have in store. Mr. Ford's plan will do the opposite of what New Democrats want to do. It will put more money in the pockets of the wealthiest Ontarians. He's going to cut corporate taxes again and again so that the corporations that are already doing very, very well and are benefiting the most from our economy are going to benefit even more, while everyday families and everyday workers struggle just to pay the bills. I don't think that's the future for our province. I think we can do much, much better than that. And that's I think these are the choices that Ontarians have to make.
During Monday night's debate, Ford seemed to double down in his opposition to safe injection sites. And a bit earlier in the day, his campaign had told us that he would consult with the experts. Seems like later on in the day he was leaning against that. What do you think his stance on safe injection sites says about his approach to healthcare policy?
Well, I mean, it's very, very worrisome. It's clear what the experts say about safe injection sites. It's clear that those frontline workers that are providing the space for people to safely use intravenous drugs. It saves lives. I mean, the Moss Park site was credited with saving at least 200 lives over the winter months. It is an absolutely necessary service. It's one that that not only reduces harm to the drug user that's using the facilities, but it also reduces harm from the neighborhood perspective as well. And so it's it's very worrisome that Mr. Ford is not prepared to pay attention to what the experts are saying, and also that he's prepared to throw those folks under the bus. He talks about services to help people to deal with their drug addictions. But if those people are not alive because they had an overdose that took their lives, they don't have the opportunity to try to deal with their addiction. I don't think we should be throwing anyone under the bus. I think we should do everything we can to ensure that people are as safe as possible and have the opportunity to turn their lives around.